Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. Today from Mattel and the WWE, we are featuring Main Event Showdown Series 19 with Mean Gene Okerlund and Hulk Hogan. Also included is the WWE Championship seen above the figures. Alright, so if you're a child of the 80s, much like myself, and you grew up watching the old WWF, this 2-pack is definitely up your alley. For me, this kind of captures Hulk Hogan as how he appeared when I was first introduced to pro wrestling. I remember years and years and years ago when I was just a little kid. Of course, I'd watch WWF Superstars on Saturday mornings after my cartoons, but late into the evenings, in syndication on one of the other channels in the Chicagoland area, I always remember they would air WWF matches from Madison Square Garden, and it was always kind of like it was a different presentation than what you got on Superstars. Whereas Superstars was kind of all about the narrative and the cartoon-like characters. The Saturday evening show, it was more about exhibition. You know, there'd be a lot of interesting matchups. And the quality was a little bit different. It seemed a little bit more mature and on a different level. And this was a style of Hulk Hogan that I was introduced to. This was prior to the red and yellow that he's infamously known for. And this is cool. For me, this is a nice throwback. He's paying homage to Mean Gene with his Mean Gene Omania shirt. And he has the blue trunks as opposed to the red or the yellow. And he has the baby blue boots. And he has the really, really old school style WWF Championship. This is the championship that I was introduced to as a kid. And for me, it's really cool to get this 2-pack. Especially with the Mean Gene figure. You know, he has the throwback logo. And he has the microphone with the old logo on the mic flag. It looks awesome. On the back, we have Mean Gene. His style is listed as a brawler. That's kind of funny. He hails from Robbinsdale, Minnesota, much like every wrestler during the 80s. You know, so many wrestlers came out of Minnesota, even Hulk Hogan. His finishing move is hard-hitting questions, which is a kind of funny joke. For Hogan, he hails from Venice Beach, and his finishing move is the leg drop, and he's listed as a powerhouse. Other figures in Series 19 include The Rock versus John Cena and Randy Orton versus CM Punk. Okay, so I'm a huge fan of the Main Event Showdown series. For one, they're reasonably priced action figures. And if you happen to have little ones, they make great toys because of their durability. Alright, so here we have Hulk Hogan and Mean Gene. It's crazy how many Hulk Hogan figures they make. It seems like there's at least 2 new figures every month. You know, Hogan's still incredibly popular, even though they booed the hell out of him on the Netflix debut of Raw. You know, they still produce so many action figures. Alright, just give me a moment. Alright, so my belt is stuck in the tray. I've had this problem before, and I've mentioned it. The plates on the end always seem to get stuck. And I don't know if there's an easy way of removing it without... Alright, let's see if this works. Alright, I apologize. This took a little bit longer than I thought it would. But I've said this before in other videos. Sometimes that last plate, they get stuck in that little slot, and it becomes impossible to remove. Alright, exercise care when removing this package, or removing the figures from the package, because the Hulk Hogan figure features that removable headband accessory, which is nice that you can remove the headband, but at the same time, I kind of feel like they should have just affixed this permanently onto the figure, because the accessory falls off very easily. But it's a cool option. It doesn't. Which way does this go in? There we go. So we have Hulk Hogan, brother, with his headband, his Mean Gene Mania shirt. He has that really deep orange tan, which Hogan is known for. We have Mean Gene suited up, looking beautiful, with a throwback logo. And then he does come with the microphone, which he could put in his hand. So if you need someone to conduct backstage interviews or in-ring promos, Mean Gene's your guy. Here he is. The figures are within the 6-inch scale, with Mean Gene standing in at about 7 inches. Hulk Hogan stands in at 7 inches also. I don't think they're the same height in real life. I always remembered Hogan being a lot taller. But they're great figures nonetheless. Just look at that. The championship is really well done also. Nice printing for the text. Yeah, gorgeous looking belt and accessory. And I knew this was going to happen. The strap is too short. It won't go around Hogan's waist. Look at that. That's unfortunate. Hogan's a slightly girthier wrestler, so it's kind of to be expected, but I kind of wish the belt was a little bit longer. So it's such a sad thing. They have to give you this beautiful belt, but you can't even put it onto the waist of the wrestler. You might be able to if you kind of stretched at it, but at the same time, you risk ripping the last 2 notches right there. In terms of the articulation of the figures, let's take a look at that. Hogan, his head swivels. Kind of looks up and down. Yeah, movement in his arms, bicep swivel, articulated elbows and wrists. He swivels at the waist, like so. He has the updated hip articulation, which goes out, so he could give the big boot. His legs also go outward. You can get him in the sitting position, so he could do his leg drop. And then I believe the knees are articulated very tight as usual. And then he has a boot swivel. Mean Gene features head swivel, arms move. There is no bicep swivel, but there is a swivel and bend at the elbow. Articulated wrists, which swivel and also fold in and out. He swivels at the waist and has articulated legs, which kick forward. Do they kick outward? If they kick outward, the suit jacket's kind of in the way. And then his knees also bend. And then he has articulated feet. They do kind of move just a little bit. But overall, great figure. You know, if you need, like I said, if you need someone to help conduct backstage interviews or in-ring promos, Mean Gene's your guy. Awesome figure. He's such a mainstay of the old WWF. And then we have Hogan over here, the icon himself. Mr. Hulkamania. And like I said, they've just produced so many Hulk Hogan figures. There's so many of them. And like a fool, I buy a lot of them. So I don't know what it is. I was a fan of Hogan when I was a kid, but not so much a fan as I was like some other wrestlers. Like for me, some of my favorite wrestlers was like Kerry Von Erich, the Texas Tornado. I loved Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors. You know, those are kind of like my guys. And when it came to my world champions, I kind of was a bigger fan of Ric Flair than Hogan. Even then, as a little kid, I was kind of a mark. So, all right. So with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.